Well, it's another beautiful day, which have been kind of rare with all these storms we've been having for, it seems like 6 months. But it's nice to see blue skies, puffy clouds, about 84 degrees. I have mixed feelings over the way things have changed with regard to a couple things, quite a few metrics. There's obviously been a big change in everything in the world since 2012, 13 years ago. And many of those changes have occurred as far as reasons why people choose to come to the Philippines. And in the beginning, it was like it always had been. It was guys that were looking to retire, enjoy the tropical life. And I'm talking like 1970s all the way up to 2012. Guys just looking for a nice, easy, tranquil, tropical retirement. The women were an added cherry on top. That was nice. But, prior to the internet, and I don't know how many of you, remember that, but there were no smartphones. There was no internet. You came here with traveler's checks or credit cards or cash. I mean, there was ATMs later on, but, it was a whole different experience. And then when I arrived in 2012, obviously there were ATM machines. There was internet, but even I didn't have a smartphone at the time. I had a BlackBerry, and Filipinas didn't have one. They would go to the local, what they call PisoNet, and pay like 10 pesos for 15 minutes or 30 minutes. And that was their internet access. And they had to wait in line, and there might be, 6 terminals for the whole barangay. And that was kind of how it worked. It was all very amateur hour, all very low key, low tech, low bandwidth. And it was sort of like the last time that you really saw sort of an innocent communication highway, I guess you could call it. And ever since then, of course, internet got more sophisticated. Pretty soon you could transmit voice, then you could transmit video, low quality video. But then pretty soon it was high def quality video, and Filipinas now had a smartphone in their hand that they owned. And then for a while there, the data plans were expensive. So it was mostly the Filipinas, even if they had a smartphone, they often had a foreigner who was paying for the data plan. And now the data plans are pretty affordable. It's about less than about $12 for the month to get like 10 gigabyte plan. And so now it's become to a point where not only do you have increased communication, you've got dating sites which have evolved into a complete cottage industry of their own, where many, in fact, I would say most of the people on the dating sites, many of the Filipinas, they're not in it looking for a relationship. In fact, when they find out the guy's actually going to fly over here, they drop communication. They don't want to meet these guys. A Filipina could be married, she could be lesbian, she could be transgender, and she's not on the dating sites because she's looking for a long-term relationship. She's just looking to build some rapport, to be the bright spot in the life of some guy who's trapped back in the United States with a job he doesn't like or a marriage he's unhappy with. And she has realized that she has something of value to barter with. And so her goal on the dating site is to get 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 different guys on the line and make them all feel special. And then every once in a while mention, oh, gee, I don't know how I'm going to pay my boarding house. I can't buy rice. And all these things, which may or may not be true. There's no way the guy back there is going to know. But if she's got multiple guys sending her money, well, you can see how this really could become extremely lucrative, especially when the exchange rate is about 59 pesos to the dollar. I mean, she could make the equivalent of 5 full-time jobs just pulling in hundreds of dollars from guys who every month just are willing to send that money because they feel like they have a connection, with this woman. But the moment that he says, okay, I've got some money, I got some vacation time, I'm going to be there on these dates, Well, if she doesn't block him outright, she'll just let him show up, and then she'll say, "Oh, my aunt passed away. I have to go deep in the province for the funeral. Oh, maybe next time I can meet you." That sort of nonsense. Or she may even show up if she's got some free time and this or that resort. It's a great experience for her. And then she'll just schedule the next guy when he comes in 2 weeks after that. That's the kind of cottage industry this whole thing has become. So in the meanwhile, the economy has changed as well. It's become a bit more difficult for guys to justify spending the money to get out to the Philippines for 3 weeks when they're looking at a pile of debt that they know they really should pay off. And meanwhile, they're living paycheck to paycheck. And even if their dream did come true and they met some wonderful Filipina during a 3-week vacation and somehow they're going to marry her and bring her to the United States, they know deep down they can't afford it. They can't afford a wife right now. Not a lot of these guys. And the guys who can, their biggest fear is they're going to bring this woman over that they knew for 3 weeks, chatted with for 6 months, and bring her in on a fiance visa, marry her, and hope for the best. And the worst part is the guys who can't afford it have the most to lose if she decides she just wants to divorce him down the road. And there goes half his assets. So it's become a bit more of a stressful, I guess you could say, high stakes poker game. Whereas, like I said, back in the 70s, 80s, 90s, I've talked to the guys that when I met them first in 2012, and their experience was completely different, just 100% different. So here we are at the end of 2025, and it's got me to thinking about how more guys are interested in the fantasy life of being connected with the Philippines than actual guys who are getting on a plane and coming out here. Because what's become apparent is that now that every Filipina with a smartphone can have her own channel, and every guy that steps off the plane starts his own channel, it's been interesting to see, okay, well then, who are the viewers going to gravitate to? Well, as it turns out, just looking at the numbers, you can look at the views for different types of channels, and there's different types of channels. There's channels that are mostly entertainment, channels that are a bit vapid, channels that provide a lot of high quality information. And what I've seen is that channels that provide actual information that is necessary to live here, things about visas and the culture and dating, etc., the views for those channels have gone down, mine included. But I'm also talking about channels like Jennifer Terry and others. And then the channels that are, as I mentioned, are simply vapid, that are just some Filipina talking about this or that sexual practice, anything to do with sex, either her by herself or talking with other Filipinas in a group, anything that is just titillating, that's what gets the views. That's where you have, again, a high number of guys who are in, say, United States, Canada, Europe, and they know they'll never come here, but they want to turn on their YouTube and look at a pretty Filipina and hear her talk about this or that naughty thing, and that's enough for them. And that's where the views have been gravitating towards. So as a content creator myself, I have to look at the free market. People want what they want. If that's the material they want, well, that's just the way it is. There was a time when the only thing people wanted to tune in and watch on their television was Jerry Springer and Maury Povich. That's the kind of nonsense people wanted, and they ate it up with a spoon. That's the free market. So it leaves me with the choice. Either I can pivot and do that kind of content if my whole goal of having a channel is simply to get views. Now, that's a big part of it, but am I willing to switch my content to get views? The answer is no. I didn't even have to think about it. It's like, no, if that's what it takes to get views, it's kind of like some girl fresh out of high school, 19 years old. She has this question nowadays. Well, does she go to college and do on an honest day's work for an honest day's pay? Or does she just get on OnlyFans and make some quick money there? again, at some point, your integrity has to be worth something to where you're just not willing at all to trade it out, to sell out. So I say all this to share with you, on the one hand, it is worth it to me to continue to do the channel and just accept the fact that there's not really a market for knowledge to come to the Philippines. That's not in high demand. Plus, there's the lack of interest in the Philippines due to so many other factors. I won't even go into a deep dive there on infrastructure and everything else. So I'll continue with the channel, but it has helped me to kind of take 2 steps back and look at the whole YouTube experience. It's been wonderful. Every friend I can think of that I know, I met through the channel, which is quite a few people that are now close friends of mine. So it's been a wonderful thing. It paid the bills. But taking 2 steps back and looking at it, after doing it for 13, going on 14 years now, I can't help but just kind of think to myself, well, most people go through life and they don't have a YouTube channel, and that's what normal life is. And maybe the time will come that I just end the channel or I stop contributing to it. I don't know. That day could come. Or I may find that I just like the creative outlet. I enjoy communicating. I like the attempt to make life better for other people so that they don't encounter the pitfalls of being an expat and they can enjoy and maximize the life that's available here. I know I'm having a great time. I have a very stress-free, comfortable, wonderful life with my wife. And like I said, I'm looking out the window at these puffy clouds move by. I'm going to jump on my motorbike in about an hour and go have a nice, relaxing lunch with my buddy. I've got a whole day ahead of me. Maybe I'll stop at the grocery store on the way back, pick up a few things. Again, I just love riding my motorbike on a small island, foliage everywhere, the beach, just 15 minutes in any direction. I love it, but it's not for everybody, for this, that, or the other reason, health reasons, commitments with kids or elderly parents. Not everybody can do this kind of life. But maybe at some point, I will put more attention into a different channel, maybe try to do 2 channels at once. It's definitely something that I've been pondering as I see how much the whole landscape has changed over the last 13 years. It's not like it was, and the market of viewers and what they want to see has changed. And the only thing I can really do, again, is reposition myself, maybe make another channel that focuses more on something like crypto or theology and pursue that. Probably not going to be any money in it. Whereas with the Philippines, like I said, I'm satisfied that I am still able to help a lot of people, not in the multitudes like it was maybe 10 years ago, but I don't know. We'll see. Maybe I have time in my life for 2 channels. And if I do, then I'll keep you updated.